Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight, the show that is the sworn and mortal enemy of lying, pomposity, smugness, and groupthink. Well, 3 weeks after the presidential election, and it is still not over. Recounts are about to commence in a number of states, including the key battlegrounds of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. The process is expected to take weeks and cost millions. The justification for all of this? Mutterings on the left that Vladimir Putin may have rigged the election for Donald Trump. The driving force behind the recount is Green Party candidate Jill Stein. Joining me now is Dr. Stein's campaign manager, David Cobb, who was himself the Green Party candidate for president in 2004. David, thanks a lot for coming on tonight.
Well, thank you so much. But I do want to correct the record that we don't know or are not making any allegations about foreign cyber attacks or anything else. So what we do know is there are problems in this election.
Okay, so what were the problems?
The problems are that we were, in those three states, what we saw were statistical anomalies that were not expected. We saw results that the polling data shows were not true. And most importantly, Tucker, what we're seeing is voting systems that cannot be trusted. What we see are the use of technology that is highly problematic, that have proven to be hacked by security experts. So all we're asking for is a recount in order to have confidence in the integrity of the election results. That's all.
Well, a couple of things. You said we saw results we didn't expect, and that goes for a lot of us. But polls don't reflect reality. They are a prediction of what we think might happen. They can be wrong. So why wouldn't the emphasis be on why the polling didn't accurately predict what actually happened?
You know, Tucker, it's a fair question, and what we're saying is this. The polls don't about what people might be doing don't matter. What matters is the voting results themselves.
That's right.
A recount is allowed under law. A recount is a legal right of a candidate. We have met those legal rights, and we are going to have the opportunity to ensure that there is integrity in the voting system. And that's something that I hope you and your viewers would agree is something that would be good for all of us.
It goes without saying, and I'm not against. I'm for recounts if there is any evidence of fraud or mistakes. But there isn't in this case, and everybody agrees with that, including the Secretary of State of Michigan, who said there are no even credible allegations to that effect. Hillary Clinton's lawyers said there is no evidence that there were any fraud or malfeasance in this election. So what is the core justification for putting the country through this? I don't understand.
Well, what I'm telling you is this. There is a legal right to secure confidence in the integrity of the election results. Recounts are a very good way to do that. In 2004, I, as the Green Party nominee, demanded a recount in Ohio. And what we found from that was just how untrustworthy the election system is. Did you know that 2 election officials went to jail in Cuyahoga County in Cleveland in 2004?
Okay, but just to bring you back to topic, we're talking about
direct
recording. I don't want to interrupt you, Mr. Cobb, but I want to talk about this election, the recount that is commencing now. So your description of the justification, with respect, doesn't really match that of your candidate, Jill Stein, who was on The View today. And for the sake of my job, I watched the entire thing. And she said this, and I'm quoting now. She said, this is this morning, the machines are really tamper-friendly. They're easy to hack. Now, as far as I know, none of those machines is connected directly to the internet. So how exactly would they be hacked and by whom? What is she alleging exactly? And don't be sneaky. Tell me exactly what she means.
No, I'll tell you. Look, the machines are, in fact, connected to the internet for certain periods of time. That's number one. Number two, those machines, especially the DRE, the so-called black box voting machines, are using proprietary software. And most importantly, there is no guaranteed paper trail that we can check. So at the end of the day, Tucker, what we're saying is we would like to actually investigate the concerns that thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of Americans have. We do not have confidence in the integrity of the results. Ronald Reagan himself famously said, trust but verify. That's all we're asking for.
But again, before you start to tell people that they shouldn't have confidence in the election results, you ought to provide some evidence that something wrong happened, and you don't. I mean, it actually shakes people's confidence. If I'm sitting on a commercial airliner and federal officials rush on and say, we want to make sure the plane doesn't blow up, and you say, why are you doing this? We have no reason. We just want to kind of delay your flight to make sure it doesn't blow up. That does not increase my confidence in the airlines, does it? No, it shakes it. And that is roughly what you're doing for no justification.
With respect, I disagree. At the end of the day, recounts should actually increase the confidence if, in fact, no tampering is found. If, in fact, the election is accurate, we're not saying that the election results are going to change. We are saying we have a right to have confidence in the integrity of our election system.
Okay.
That is what we are doing. I'm very proud of that.
Okay. And you're also raising a ton of money doing it, more than twice what I think Dr. Stein raised during this campaign season. But answer this question. You're suggesting that these machines could have been hacked. How specifically? You raised the suggestion. Back it up. Tell me how the Russians or some hostile foreign actor could have hacked these machines.
You see, that's not fair. Number one, you bring up the money as a throwaway, a dig at my integrity and my candidate's integrity. So I'm going to tell you that it's very important to understand. Let me finish, please. At the end of the day, it's important to understand that we raised all of that money in small donor donations, $47 average. 140,000 people have made donations. Only 414 of them have been over $1,000. So the money that's being raised is pouring in from ordinary
that makes it even more
people who have concerns.
Okay, but then pledge this then. And I'm not calling your integrity into question, but since you raised it, will you pledge here right now that money will only go to recount efforts, that none of it will be spent for party activities or future campaigns?
That money will absolutely be used for either this recount, future recounts, or election integrity efforts. I can absolutely
future recounts or election integrity efforts, whatever that means. But let me just get you to, and I don't know what that means. It doesn't satisfy my question. But let me just ask you this once more: how exactly could these machines have been hacked? Since you raised the possibility and your candidate did so today, how exactly could that have happened?
Listen. Harry Hursty, computer expert, multiple computer experts have in fact hacked the very machines that are at play in these states. They have been done, and I don't know how, I don't know if. I know they have been in the past, and because they have been in the past, it is reasonable to have concerns, and if those concerns are reasonable concerns, then we ought to have a recount
during a campaign. During a campaign, a voting machine was hacked. Just because you're making news here, you're saying during an election campaign, a voting machine was hacked by someone, and the outcome was okay. Then you're not saying the same thing. That's never happened in American history that I'm aware of.
What I'm saying is these machines have been hacked, not during an election, but it has been proven that they are hackable. That is absolutely true, Tucker.
But you don't know how, you don't know by whom, and there's no evidence it actually happened.
I don't know if.
The discrepancies that you described, the 7% discrepancy between the voting machines in urban areas and those in non-urban areas, is obviously explainable by the different demographics in those areas. So there's really nothing underlying this. You kind of see the point I'm making. Perhaps. I mean, of course. It happened in many states, right? People voted in ways not predicted by polling.
You do not believe... I see that you do not believe that these recounts should happen. Millions of Americans
I'm open-minded. I just think that before you whip people into hysteria, you ought to present some facts.
Well, you know, it's interesting because we have a right, and we're exercising our rights as a candidate under law. We have filed the filing fee. We have followed all of the procedures. As somebody who frequently talks about the rule of law, I think you'll agree that if we have a right and exercise that right, we should be allowed to do so. And we should be allowed to do so without being maligned.
At the outset of this, I never contested your right to do it. You have a right to do all kinds of things. Whether they're wise things is an entirely separate question. That's what I was hoping to address tonight, but we're out of time. Mr. Kopp, thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.